This week on Media Delta, the Great 2021 Ranking Cleanup. All right, let's do this. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Media Delta. It's a new year. This is going to be the first recording of 2021. And something that I've been meaning to do for a while, because if you're familiar with the sister show to this show, that being Retro Rank Rhapsody, you might be familiar with the fact that rankings that we do over there can be invalidated. And since it's the way that I handle that stream, I can just easily I'll just play this game again for like a little bit and we can see whether or not the rank was. With media, it's a little difficult because that's us just sitting down and watching the thing again. And even then, that's not going to really matter much. So we have a few things that have been somewhat contentious. So this episode is dedicated to basically taking a look at some rankings that basically either me or people who kind of listen to this and just kind of felt that some of these rankings are a little bit either old or maybe there's something we can rethink about it. Obviously, this would be really silly if I did this by myself. So who do I have as our counsel for this one?
Hi, I'm Axe, and I'm here to spill blood.
Hi, this is Carnival, and the blood shall run.
Hey, it's Collier if you don't know, and Sonic also runs. I guess.
Perfect.
I'm Torpid Typus, and I'm here to argue about contentious things while half asleep and horribly sleep deprived.
Great.
And eating.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not eating right now. I stopped because we started the recording. Go fuck yourself.
Stuff your face right before the recording.
Fucking squirrel cheeks. It's great.
It begins.
Storing that food for energy for the debates to come.
Now let's softball the shit out of this opening.
Yeah. So, yeah, the way that we're going to do this is I have a list of I have a list of 11 titles that we're going to go through and see kind of where they're at and whether or not they need to be moved. Because one thing about like a lot of these rankings are the fact that some of these are kind of old. So we were kind of just shooting where just guessing where we think there would be, and they kind of got weirdly placed sometimes. So
Pew, pew,
yeah, some of these I feel like need to be relooked at.
We didn't have a lot to go by, so we just kind of put them in a
yeah,
slot.
especially this first one that we're going to take a look at. We're taking this one I kind of, especially since I just recently rewatched this for actually another podcast. The first one I want to talk about is Area 88, the OVA. That was actually the second thing we ranked. It was actually in the first batch. Oddly enough, I feel like Salamander at 15 is actually pretty good. Like that was actually a very apt placement for it. But Area 88's at 9, which in general we enjoyed watching it. And I can't exactly remember what our take on it. I was actually thinking that maybe we could bump that one up like 1 or 2.
I could see that. Like our biggest problems were there was some shaky parts of tone changes. Because I think of the people here, basically it was you, me, and Torpid that were on that episode, right?
Yes.
But I
Some
would
shaky
say
tone changes, but also the writing got weird at the end.
Yeah, I remember
the
the ending was a big kind of thing that spoiled it a little bit. But that being said, I do feel like it was still pretty good, and especially since the stuff we've kind of placed. I'm thinking maybe like 8. I'm thinking is either good.
Yeah, I would feel like moving up to 8.
In general pretty solid, and it gets its message across very well, which is war is hell. And also that if you've been a soldier as a career, it's hard to go back to your normal life. I love Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
Shout out to that random post online of that person who joined the military because of Metal Gear. Nice job missing the point.
Yep.
Completely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think 8's a fine spot. Like I think it's interesting and it's 100% worth watching. It's not amazing, but it's got its quirks.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Like the main character fucking losing his shit after he realized he wandered through a desert back to his fucking airbase.
Yeah. Things do not end well for Shinkazama. Well, there. That one's done. Also another one that's actually not actually super early, but actually in the same ballpark. East, particularly East 1. That's at 4.
Yeah, it's definitely not a 4.
That I feel
that's
is
way
way
too
too high.
I would argue a 6, maybe 7, but definitely not 4.
It's a 7.
I mean,
thinking
East 2 is at a 7.
That's
East
that's
1 is
what I
better
have.
than East 2.
Also,
Okay, yeah.
Also next up on my list is East 7 or East 2. So, I think that
I can see East being a little lower because it only has the 1 thumbs up.
yeah, I'm thinking East is a 7, and I'm thinking East 2 because we liked East 1 better. I'm thinking East 2 might be like an 8 or 9.
I'd say 9.
Especially next to Area 88. I'm thinking East 2 is actually a 9.
Yeah.
No, all these are fun to me. It's definitely it's growing pains is why it got so high.
Yeah. So actually,
Also, once again, I've said this. I don't know if I've said this on recording, but like we also have a very bad habit of getting caught up in the moment, and so like either we'll start like talking about the things we really liked about it, and then go into the ranking like that, or talk about the things we really didn't like about that, and going into the ranking like that, skewing the numbers a little bit because we just kind of got caught up in the good or the bad, which is what's going to get us back to one of our later things.
yes. Let me do this real quick just to kind of clean up a little bit. So there, kind of move some stuff around.
It also doesn't help when we don't have a lot of other titles to put them up against, because that's where a lot of our final decisions kind of come from, is we weigh our emotional aspects of it, but then we weigh it against the other stuff on the list. And the earlier the stuff, the more disparate the rankings are going to be, because we have no other benchmarks.
Just shots in the dark.
Yeah.
Yep. And just for adding on to that, East 1 and East, actually they're 2 episodes apart. East 1 was 24. East 2 was 26. And actually, we are also taking a look at 25, but that'll be a little later. Okay, so those are some easy ones out of it. This one is one that I know we've kind of talked about a few times. Adventures of Lola the Penguin.
Yeah, it needs to be lower.
At 11.
That one needs to be lower.
So I went back and re-listened to our episode of it, and the general consensus was that it was okay in terms of animation, but overall, about 3/4 of the movie, or 2/3 of the movie, because it's three things put together. It was 3 episodes of a series put together. So 2/3 of that series we found to be particularly boring and uninteresting, and it was the final third that kind of got our attention.
The problem is we got caught up in talking about how great the faces were with the weird animation, and about all the fucking murder. And we talked about that a lot, and I feel like that skewed our rating because that's what we went into the ratings with.
Well, you actually, if I remember correctly, because I listened to it a couple days ago, my memory is absolutely terrible, but you actually went as low as 13, and the general consensus brought us to 11 because we decided that overall the movie wasn't terrible, but it didn't really stand out. It was basically a dead center kind of film, and that's why it ended up as 11.
If that's the case, I think putting it back down to 13 is actually really good.
Plus, we don't have a 13, right?
Yeah, we'll finally have a 13.
I mean, yes, but also yes.
If the shoe fits.
But yeah, going back over our arguments on it, I mean, the animation, if I think back on it, the animation wasn't that great. But I think what really pushed it up for us was we had low expectations for it because, and I hate to say it this way, but because it was Russian animation. And it was at a time where Russian animation wasn't really, I wouldn't say it was really big.
Also, it's kind of crap looking.
Yeah. It was a joint Japanese-Russian thing that the studios involved were slightly lower budget. So it's not only that, it's because Soviet animation, just in general, not to kind of think of it as a cheap way, it is such a, it's Soviet Union in during the Cold War. So they didn't exactly have a whole lot of support.
Yeah, it wasn't funded well.
Yeah,
Also,
so
stylistically and culturally, it's very different too.
so that's the kind of thing with going into Lola the Penguin.
No, the issue is we saw how it looked, and like at first blush, it looks fucking terrible, and then you realize it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
So actually adding on to that a little bit, because I see that Adventure of Lola the Penguin was 22. I'm actually looking at 23, which was Batman 1989. And I would actually say that Lola the Penguin, looking, because we have right now, in 14, we have Batman 1989 and Mega Man Upon a Star there. I would almost say putting into 14 also would not be that bad.
Yeah, because I don't know if I would say that Lolo the Penguin is better than Batman 1989.
No, I
Batman
wouldn't.
1989 has its problems for sure, but it's much more watchable film than Lolo the Penguin.
And
Yeah, no.
And comparing it to like Dick Tracy or like, it wasn't that bad. So I would say it's better than like as a hard floor. I would say 16 is probably a hard floor for me. Like I feel like it's better than Fatal Fury.
That's
Yeah.
saying something.
Also,
Damn.
I want to say really quick that I'm pretty sure the version we were watching of Lolo the Penguin was kind of weird and busted, because I feel like it was using frame interpolation, which the original probably didn't.
That could have been. I believe that the one that we were watching actually was like a VHS rip. It was like a
Maybe. It
VHS or
looked way
DVD
too
rip.
smooth.
That could be.
And just like the overall, the writing in it wasn't that great. The plot wasn't that great. The
No, but
pacing
then you
wasn't
see
good.
all those fucking penguins get murked to shit, and it's like, wow, this is the one brief shining moment on this fucking polished turd.
It's the and we mentioned this in the episode. It's the ending of Titanic. It's 3 hours of absolute boring bullshit, and then a guy bangs off of a propeller, and it's great again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Genuinely, that was the most thrilled I was during that movie. It's when that guy lands on the propeller, and everybody else is going, "Oh!" I'm like, "Yeah, yes, thank you."
Finally, something.
Yeah.
So anywhere between 13 and 15, I'd say is a good place for it.
I would say 15.
I was gonna go with 14 because again, I can't put it above Batman in good conscience.
I could definitely put the same. You know what? It's been a while since I watched Dick Tracy, but I feel like 15 also could be a good spot for it.
I did not like Dick Tracy.
I did not either.
I
y'all
enjoyed the
still put it at-
colors.
You put it at 15 though. So I mean, it's not great, but it's still not super
It's
terrible.
not abysmal, but it's also not like it's not something that I would go out of my way to watch. If someone was put it on, like I'll watch it, but it's not something I would go out of my way. Which is, I feel like 15 is like the pure. This is on at someone's house. I will sit down and watch it and not leave the room. Like that's a way that I'm thinking about
Just
that.
trying to imagine the situation that someone puts on Adventures of Lolo the Penguin. I just had this movie sitting around. Well, I'll put this on in the background.
Claws digging into the fucking armrest.
like Get Out.
Like you have a friend who is really into Soviet animation. It's like here, watch this. Here's your entry level into Soviet animation.
But yeah, no, I'd say 15's a good place for it.
Yeah,
It feels
15's
a lot
solid.
more natural for it.
For someone who hasn't watched Adventures of Lolo the Penguin, I have watched Mega Man Upon a Star, and that one was mildly entertaining sometimes.
Yeah, Lolo the Penguin wasn't entertaining at all.
Oh, it was exciting. It was entertaining for 2 minutes.
Yeah, it was okay, and it looked all right. Like from what I've heard from Adventures of Lolo the Penguin, I think I'd rather watch Mega Man Upon a Star.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Also, to be fair, there were other scenes of murder too, like early on with like the fucking seals or whatever. I don't remember what animal it was, but there was some fucking murder. And then there was the entire shit bit where you got to see the people faces, which weren't amazing. But I need to mention there were other brief moments of excitement where things died,
yes.
which says a lot about how I feel about that. That the most memorable moments are things fucking dying.
I mean, yeah, it was like an hour-long 3-part TV series turned into movie, and literally the first 2 is like The first two parts are a slightly educational thing about penguins, and then some stuff on a boat, and then penguin murder.
Yeah, no, it's really good because the first one tries to be like somewhat educational, and they just fucking forget about that in the second episode.
And then they bring it back at the very end of the third part.
After they've murdered like 2/3 of the penguins.
And that was actually a point of contention for me because it was just like you can't go from being educational to being boring to murder to, oh yeah, we got this educational part. We're going to tell you some educational stuff again. You can't fucking do that to me. That's
You
too
can't close Pandora's box and expect it to stay that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like something that goes from 0 to 11 at about 2 seconds and then back down to 0.
No, not even 2 seconds. It took like an hour for anything to actually happen.
That's what I meant. Like, it stays at 0 for the longest time, then it goes into overdrive, and then just screeching halt at the end.
Yeah, and then when the dust settles, it's like, and so the penguins all join together, and it's like, no. You can't cap it off like that. You can't just remember. It's like Dragon's Dogma. You can't forget your plot halfway through, and then at the end go, oh right. And as we were saying.
How dare you shit talk?
I'm not shit talking. Okay, Dragon's Dogma was good, but it forgets its plot halfway through the game, and then
the post game happens where all of the plot is.
Exactly. I'm not saying Dragon's Dogma is. I'm just saying that the Adventures of the Penguin kind of forgets what it was doing, and then picks it back up in the worst possible way.
If I want to self-actualize so hard I become a god, I will fucking do it, and you can't stop me, X.
Just think when the next generation of consoles come out and we can do PS3 games because they're retro, that Dragon's Dogma, the show, will be eligible for ranking.
Yeah.
I will fucking delete you.
We'll make sure to remember that in about 7 years from now.
Yeah.
Look, we already know what's what's coming with the fury of the storm. I come with this project that we're going to do at some point.
Yes.
Regardless.
Yeah. So 15 for Love of a Penguin, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Yep.
So what's next?
So this one is, I don't know how contentious this one will be. Although I imagine that with us that the request of the person who put this on, because this is actually one that I'm curious where it will go, because this one actually might stay where it is. Max and Chachi have requested that we increase the rank of Labyrinth.
No!
Which is at a 6.
No! It is fine where it is.
Yeah, I don't think it can get any better than 6. It was okay. It's an okay film, but like the musical numbers kind of hold it back because they come out of nowhere.
Half of them kind of fall flat, yeah.
Yeah, they're not very. Some of them aren't even very good. Like the one in the staircase is just a very weird and discordant song. The plot's really dopey, and she doesn't learn any lesson at the end of it.
Also, it's just a very unsettling movie.
It's not even like the pub. So like the thing. So if it was just the plot and the music and all that, it would be much lower. The thing that propped it up was the puppets, which were fucking amazing.
Yeah,
and those were the highlight of the film.
The puppetry in that is fucking fantastic. There's no
Jim
question.
Henson's though.
The puppetry is fantastic in the worst possible way.
Yeah. So, like, I think that's good, but that is why it is at a 6 and no lower.
Also, you ever have that situation where you look at a word and like, is that really how that's spelled? That's a weird ass looking word.
Yeah, I had that fucking struggle with Labyrinth all the goddamn time.
Labyrinth is a really weird ass looking word.
You want a weird Torpo story. Yeah, you want a weird Torpo story. As a kid, for the longest time, I thought stomach was spelled with an E at the end. And to this day, I still have to stop myself from making that fuck up.
You're Dan Quayle. You Dan Quailed it.
Like,
sorry, what?
Dan Quayle.
English. Yeah, the potato thing.
Dan Quayle was, I think, vice president.
He was vice president for Bush, right?
I think so. And so he was at an elementary school, and a kid wrote the word potato on the chalkboard without an E. And Dan Quayle walks up to the chalkboard, puts an E at the end of the word, and corrects the child. And it ended his career as a politician. I'm not fucking kidding.
Also,
I know you're not.
Also, the other thing about him was that for some reason we ever talk about Ally McBeal. Another thing that he made a big, or was that? No, it wasn't Ally McBeal. What was the? He also made a big deal about the main character of a sitcom becoming basically a single mother. It wasn't Ally McBeal. What?
No, Ally McBeal was always single, but she was like
It was because it
slutting
was
all over
like
the
she
place.
wanted to, like, she did artificial insemination, if I remember correctly. Like, it made a
Uh,
huge thing about it. That's gonna bug me. What?
Dan Quayle, not Potato. It was
Dan,
TV show. Dan
yeah,
Murphy Brown.
Murphy Brown. That's what it
Oh,
was.
shit, Murphy Brown.
Anyway, yeah, I think Labyrinth stays where it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah. In my defense, though, I know it's wrong, but it's this weird fucking lizard brain thing.
It's
Stop
also-
made
me.
me to do it.
It's also the weird brain thing that I have spelling the name Joseph, because I always try and put the first 3 letters as Joe, because it's Joseph.
Yeah, it's like how for like breathe and breathe, I always double check to make sure I didn't fuck it up.
You gotta make sure that you're not having a bad stomach.
Yes.
Exactly. Regardless, though,
And
Labyrinth is a movie.
in my struggles, I keep trying to spell galaxy with a Z.
Well, with my
that
dumbest
explains.
spelling story is I once forgot how to spell the word guy. For at least for like a week, I couldn't
My
spell
good
the word
buddy,
guy.
GAI.
Yeah, or
Anyway,
Gee. All right, 6 for Labyrinth.
Yeah, I don't see that really moving that much, honestly.
No.
Like, I understand they like the movie, but at the end of the day, I don't think it deserves to move up.
I liked the movie. I thought it had a lot of good stuff. It also had Jennifer Connelly. who I
And
think
6 is still a fair
Yep.
ways up.
That's
No,
a
it's
really
like-
good score for
it's
it.
at the the way that, because I like the thing is like if you think about like because every set of 3 is its own kind of mini tier, I guess maxi tier in this case. Because and I have like the second tier, which is 4, 5, and 6, as great. Like it's not Mastercraft, but it's still really damn good. So I feel like Labyrinth's pretty good for that one. This one might be a little bit more contentious because I know we've had discussions about this one being in a weird spot before. Street Fighter 1984 or 1994,
Yeah, thanks.
the live action.
Yeah,
It's currently at 9.
It needs to
Um,
go. It just
it's not that good of a film. It really isn't. And I made this argument during the episode. It doesn't stand up on its own. It stands up only because of Raul Julia. That's it. Van Damme is terrible in it. All the other
Van
actors
Damme
are
is always fucking terrible, though.
the other
I mean-
actors are mostly forgettable. The fight scenes are boring. It's not funny. It's not interesting. It doesn't really make good use of the property. I mean, I'd put this down at like a 13.
which, by the way, that one. So this one was also episode 5. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't think I would go quite that low, but I could definitely see it going a little lower.
I would say like an 11 or 12 personally, but
I would say 12.
I was actually thinking
12.
10, but
no.
so I was actually highballing. But I
So
actually
like the thing is like so I know this me and Lolo enjoy like the schlockiness of it all, like how fucking dumb it is, but like as an actual movie, it's not good.
it is the thing where if you like, especially like distancing myself from that rating, and especially the stuff we've taken a look at since, like especially since like if you look at like 12, that's where we have the 1990s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live action movie, which
And I would say this is on par with that.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I would actually also agree with that.
That's fair. Yeah, 12.
Yeah.
Go, were you gonna say something?
Coolio.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
No, I don't have an opinion on this.
All right.
12 is fine.
All right. Okay. So from 1 to 10, that was a lot quicker than I expected.
Yeah, no, it's once again, this is the struggle of, hey, this was an early fucking episode. Where do we put it?
Yeah, because that was at 5. So, yep. So this one's great because I know that there's going to be one of you thinks it should go up, one of you thinks it should go down. Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence.
It should fucking go up.
No, it doesn't need to go any higher.
That's
Good fucking movie.
it is I don't feel like it should be like. If I look at this stuff in 3, like we got Dirty Pair, Ghost in the Shell, um, Bugs Bunny Roadrunner movie, and Road to El Dorado. Actually, the thing with because I'm kind of taking a look to see what was at what was at 3 at the time that we ranked it. Actually, what is in
And-
4 now? Which is we
the
added
only things that were in 3 at the time were fucking Dirty Pair and Bugs Bunny. Which, oh man, I should have fucking put that up for re-ranking. Whatever.
Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
So
We've burnt through enough of these quickly. I can quick add that to the list.
I mean, okay. So my point of contention with Merry Christmas, Lawrence is my copy didn't have subtitles, so my bias towards it is a little weighted towards the negative because I had no clue what the fuck was going on for about 70% of the film because a good portion of the film is done in Japanese. So I freely admit that my experience with it is marred by just not being able to understand what's going on. So and that's why I didn't participate throughout most of that episode.
Yeah, like I feel bad that you couldn't like properly enjoy it because legitimately, I think something was busted with your copy. But
But what I did understand and what I did see, it's a good movie, but I wouldn't watch it again. It's the thing. Road to El Dorado is a good movie, and I would watch that over and over. I thought that's a fantastic film. I would not put Mr. Lawrence up there with Road to El Dorado.
The argument that I would say against that particular element is there are plenty of there are several movies I can think of see, the problem is me saying it doesn't mean much because I haven't seen these particular films, but I know it's a common sentiment about people who really like films. There are plenty of movies that are really, really good that you watch once. Stuff like Requiem for a Dream or like Schindler's List, which are like, they're good movies.
they're
Like,
just fucking heavy and intense.
See, I can't hear Schindler's List without thinking about that episode of Seinfeld.
God, fuck off.
You made out during Schindler's List?
I have actually seen that movie, and I can assure you that is a movie you will only watch once.
Yeah, no, I've seen Schindler's List, and it's like,
See,
no, I never want to watch it again. But
another movie that I can think of that some people would be like that. I know there is a contradiction to this statement in this room. I would also argue Perfect Blue might be one of those movies. I would say that, except I know for a fact that someone in this room.
Let me tell you about confessing to someone after watching that movie like an absolute dipshit.
That is the real life variant of that Seinfeld episode.
It really is.
Perfect Blue. But no, like I guess I could see not putting Mr. Lawrence lower because again, it's a well shot movie, and for the most part, it's well acted. It's got interesting themes and underlying tones, and this is just what I gleaned from my viewing of it, as well as Bear and Torpid's discussion. It's a layered movie. It's an interesting movie. It is a good movie, but I don't feel it's a mastercraft film. I feel they're just better films than it.
I'm also kind of I'm taking a look at this because my ultimate sentiment, I also agree with you. I feel like it should be a 4. Because or at least the thing that I'm noticing, I'm thinking at the other things we have in 4. We got Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, and Jaws, which were added after the fact. Also taking a look at the other 3s that were added, which is The Road to El Dorado and Ghost in the Shell, which actually happened 33 and 34. So right immediately after Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. I would argue that those 2 movies there's something with them, both of those movies, that I would feel kind of puts it at a slight tier above Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. Because one thing there are definitely flaws that I can think of for Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. I feel it is a bit too long.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that there are some things in that movie that feel weirdly paced.
The very final shot, kind of like it just feels weird because I know it's Beat Takashi, and I know it was his very first serious role, but just something about the way that final scene was shot just kind of took me away from the moment.
I feel like part of that is because you didn't understand what was going on. But also, I'm going to be really quick here. I didn't put this up here because I was expecting it to move. I just wanted to have this discussion.
That's
I
fair
felt it
enough.
was important also to help contextualize things going on further. And I do want to say one more really quick thing that is not directly about this. I don't want this to move for this reason. But I feel like our current top of the list is filled with too much like action-y, pulpy crap.
And you know what?
I feel we
fair.
could stand to have some like heavier or more
actually-
intense things in the higher tiers.
That's fair.
Actually, you just reminded me that I actually forgot something on this list.
Oh.
Something that you're talking about pulpy, and that might be in the number 1 slot.
But no, I agree. Like it seems like our tastes tend to lean towards the sort of thoughtless, actiony kind of stuff.
There is one caveat I would say to that, is if you think about the ultimate, like the reason why we're taking a look at this, not a whole, like all the stuff that's like based on like video games, it's going to be actiony.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
my big counterpoint is. Like we're doing games that are either movies that are either based on games or based on movies with adaptations on that are game
I'm not
adaptations.
saying I'm expecting them to be Carnival. I'm just saying like that is a genuine problem with this list.
Yeah,
That's
it's going
fair.
to be
Yes,
hard
that
to
is
tackle.
extremely-
It's like an asterisk on it. Like it is something to consider.
Well, we also got to take into account that at some point we're going to run out of game to movie type things, and then we're going to go into we're going to go into media retro kind of a proper where it has no ties.
Yeah,
and that's where I think it will open up a bit more top wise.
Yeah, I feel it. Like I don't know when, but I do see down the road that we are eventually just going to go, okay, we're just going to talk about stuff that we want to talk about, which is something that I would be open to entertaining in like the future. But I still, I still do feel like this is an interesting kind of thing to go through. And so, I mean, we've already like Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence in itself was kind of had a very loose tie-in to games.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that was the most tenuous, out of the ass, reason to do that movie. It shouldn't, by technicality, it shouldn't even be on this list. But we did take a look at it for very tenuous reasons, and it's technically it's your series. You do with it what you want. But
what was it? It said B. Takeshi is in it, and there's also
David Bowie.
Well, there's the 3. I believe there was 3 tenants that we kind of thought of it. One, when we did it, it was June, so I wanted at least one movie that was slightly pride themed, which it does. That is a core tenet of that film. Okay. 2 was it is a Beat Takeshi movie, so it is the tie-in to Takeshi's Challenge, also where he kind of came from. And the third one is it's the game International Karate used the theme.
That's what it was.
That
was the main tie, was that it was that.
And technically, if we're going to go by, well, Beat Takeshi was in it, we can eventually just go ahead and do Battle Royale.
We could.
just based on that bullshit logic.
Also, whenever, God, when is DayZ going to be covered? Because then you have to start the Battle Royale genre.
Did Battle Royale start with DayZ, or did it start with...
I'm pretty sure it started as a mod for DayZ. Because it was definitely a mod.
No, because DayZ was a mod for Arma.
PUBG. PUBG was the one that really...
It was that PUBG was...
Well, PUBG started out as a mod for Arma
3. It was Arma 3.
Arma 3, because DayZ was a mod for Arma 3.
Or actually, technically Arma 2, because it's
or wasn't it? No, wasn't it? I thought it was a Half-Life mod first. Or am I thinking of Killing Floor?
Yeah, it's Killing Floor.
Okay, yeah, but no, the very first Battle Royale game. God, that would have to be that. What's his name? Brendan Green.
I want to say it's Brent. I keep on wanting to say it's Brendan Fraser, but it's not Brendan.
Green.
It's
Brendan Green. Yeah, he did one of the first Battle Royale games, which was a mod for Arma 3.
Yes.
Yeah, and another way to tie in Battle Royale, in my view, anyways, is take it as a movie about students killing each other, which is the same premise as Danganronpa.
Is
Those enemies are
Danganronpa
bad. The Danganronpa enemies are real bad. As someone who likes those games.
I actually like the Danganronpa anime.
Too.
Dang it, Ron Paul.
But wait,
Anyway.
Danganronpa isn't eligible, is it?
No, God, no. It's too new.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, I think the ultimate sentiment, Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, stays where it is.
Yeah, as I said, I didn't expect this to move. I just wanted to have this discussion.
Yep. Which also, okay, since you brought it up, and I think because while it's still fresh, Bugs Bunny Roadrunner movie.
I wasn't there for this, so I don't have a dog in
So
the race.
I can see that getting a bit lower.
yeah, because I mean, ultimately, what it is this was the second. So I'm trying to think what it was even. So at this point, this was episode 10. So the only things up there were we had Dirty Pair at 3, which came out in episode 4. We have Die Hard at 1, which came out in episode
And the
6.
closest second was Mappy at a 6.
Well, I was gonna say, wasn't he? Yeah, no, we had Mortal Kombat at a 6.
Kombat, that was it. Mortal Kombat. Wow, I can fucking read.
Which I
Regardless,
still maintain shouldn't be that high, but I didn't want to make a big stink out
Oh,
of it.
we're right, Mappy. Okay.
Or Mortal Kombat. I didn't think Mortal Kombat should really be that high.
I could see personally Bugs Bunny Roadrunner going at a 5.
Yeah.
It is definitely,
So-
is definitely them putting their best foot forward and putting their best skits out there, and also Pepe Le Pew. But
Yeah.
it's still just Saturday morning cartoons in movie form.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bunch of episodes loosely strung together.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty much some of the bigger kind of sketches just tied in one movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't really call something like that mastercraft.
Yeah. It's just part of me the list keeper in this wants me to put it at 5 so that we have more things at 5. But I could
Well,
I could
again,
I could also see it going 4.
I mean, it comes down to also what would you prefer seeing? Would you prefer seeing this over Labyrinth? Would you prefer seeing it over Hunt for Red October?
I mean, actually, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I would absolutely watch this over Hunt for Red October.
So then we could say that the floor is 5.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, if I'm thinking Jaws, Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, and the Street Fighter 2 animated movie, would I rather watch those? And the answer is probably yes.
Yeah. This isn't bad or anything. It's just...
And I would also say that Bugs Bunny Roadrunner has about the same entertainment value as Game Center CX.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 5.
Yeah. So let's put that at 5.
Yeah, and once again, my other complaint would just... It is an anthology of episodes. It's not actually, a proper...
It's not
plot.
new.
It's just a best of collection, basically.
Yeah.
All right. So... Since there's a trio of things I want to talk about because there's something that I'm thinking doctrine-wise. Why? So I got 2 Band-Aids that we need to pull off.
We're saving one for last.
The question, do we want to pull off the really big Band-Aid first or a smaller Band-Aid that is definitely still going to pull hair?
Smaller. I want Torpid
feud,
to sweat this the fuck out.
Blood feud.
I want
Okay.
to keep Torpid on his toast to the end of the episode.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's going to come up next. So, yeah. I didn't realize that this is going to be a contentious one. The Addams Family.
Yeah, I don't think it's a 1. I really don't. It's good, but I don't think it's a 1.
And this, I remember being one. This was one of, I can't remember if it was the first or if it was the middle of a trio of episodes that those were the 30-minute ranking ones.
I feel like the only reason it shouldn't be 1 is because the general consensus is that Addams Family Values is a better film. But at the same time, I feel like they could both be called 1 because they're both really good films with absolutely no flaws.
So the thing I would say about that, because I remember at least the thing that I said about it was that my kind of trying to think of the term, my kind kind of not excuse, but my rationale for why I could see Adam's Family being a 1 was the fact that I really couldn't think of anything else that it could.
I feel like though, just because you can't think of anything better doesn't mean it has to be slapped into that spot.
Which that also has another one that I'm thinking of. That is Commando. Because I feel like if we're using that logic to kind of say that Adam's Family is a 1, I kind of feel like Commando should be a 1 as well.
Yeah, and it's one of those things like I don't agree with that sort of line of thinking. Like, yes, it's a very good like family comedy, but when I think about it, I don't think Mastercraft. I just think, wow, it's a really good comedy.
I mean, it's still a Mastercraft. It's just not.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I don't think top of the line. Like, I don't think this is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. I just think, this is a pretty good movie.
Well,
and that's kind of my point.
Well, we also were arguing that genre-wise, is it the peak of its genre? And I would argue that Addams Family is the peak of the comedy genre, at least in terms of what we've seen. I think that I mean, I can't think of any way that you could improve upon the film. There's just nothing. There was nothing about it that really stood out as problematic or.
Here's the thing. So you say you can't think of any way to improve the film. Yes, but that doesn't mean there can't be better things. It just means that specific film is as good as it gets, which is a different thing entirely.
The problem in this case is the fact of if we're thinking scope of what kind of just the traditional scope of what's going to be covered in Media Delta, I do feel like the Addams Family is probably one of the better, like probably if I'm thinking of comedy films that would show up in this, I think Addams Family would probably at least, if not top 5. The thing is, if we're thinking about movies in general, then, which is kind of how I view this, I think this list should be viewed as a in general, not just like of the scope. Like the scope should be all media, not just the things that would be covered in this series.
I mean, I personally think Addams Family is up there in the top. I would say it's one of the best comedy films made, right alongside like the Marx Brothers. I mean, so I would put it at no lower than a 2.
Yeah, and I'm like,
I'm not saying to lower it any lower than a 2.
Yeah, I'm going to say.
I think it's just not a 1.
But I still maintain that it's a 1. But that's me.
Now, let me make my point here. I don't really have a horse in this, but basically, I say here, whatever we do with it, Commando and Addams Family functionally have the same kind of strengths to them, so they kind of have to stay as a pair. Is what I would agree with Lolo to that extent there, in terms of like where they stayed as rankings. So either one of them gets moved, either one of them moves down, or Commando either gets moved up, or Addams Family moves down, and that's just I think that's just a decision we kind of have to make as a whole.
Putting the paperclip on it, huh?
So, I mean, if that's the case, I would be fine with Addams Family getting a 1. There is no that's totally not me doing a backdoor of getting Commando to 1.
Oh, fucking God.
See, I would have gone and said that Addams Family comes down because it.
Yeah, I would argue it goes down to Commando's level.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
I don't agree that they're a pair, but I mean, I think they're very different types of films. And I don't think Commando is really at the pinnacle of the action genre. We already had that with Die Hard.
Yeah.
Commando's high, but it's not. And again, like I just feel like the Addams Family does comedy better than most comedy films.
The thing I would say about Commando not being a 1 because Die Hard is 1, I feel like or in terms of action movies, I feel like they're a different kind of action movie. Whereas Die Hard's the very, I don't know if technical would be the right word, but it's more of and I also don't want to say realistic, but it's a more grounded sort of action movie.
Yeah,
Commando is an Arnold-ass movie.
Yeah, I haven't watched Commando, but it feels like mindless schlock for the most part, but well structured, whereas Die Hard has a lot more depth to it.
Like, My argument for Commando being a 1 is that it is the peak of dumbass action Arnold ass movies.
Yeah, but then my argument there is the same one with Addams Family, which is, yeah, it's the peak of that, but compared to everything else, I still don't think it's at the pinnacle.
That dude has a chainmail vest for a
Yeah,
shirt.
good for him. He gets impaled by a pipe too. What's your point?
Then he says, "Let off some steam, Ben." It's a great ass
it's
movie.
fucking dumb. It's a great movie. I'm not disputing that. My point is, just because it's maybe what you think might be the best of a genre or at the top, doesn't mean that it's a 1. Is more my argument.
But then what was our arguments for Die Hard and Redline being 1? Because I feel like
I feel like Die Hard is just like one of the best movies. Like, not only of that type, I think it's just a phenomenal movie.
And Redline is like, it's genuinely, this is one of the best movies just created.
So Redline is not only is it a really good movie in general, it is also has a incredibly good looking design, and it's like
amazing soundtrack, and also it is inexperience, I guess.
So
it is.
If we're going to quantify 1, then basically 1 is starting to sound more like it's not just that it's the pinnacle of its genre, it's a pinnacle in and outside its genre.
Yes, exactly. And
that's going to be fucking hard for anything to get into it, because
Isn't that the point?
I don't know. Like, if we look at Retro Rank Rhapsody, we're way fucking looser with our 1s than we are with Media Delta. We are way more stringent on our criteria for 1s with Media Delta than we are with Retro Rank
I'm
Rhapsody.
fine with that.
I mean, to be fair, that list is also way longer.
It is, but also I would also agree that we are a bit looser. There are some things in 1 that I could argue could probably be 2s. But like if we were using the same metric. But the question is I feel also that this is going to go on to another argument that I'm going to have for actually the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Is what is our discipline for what we should handle, or like how we should handle these mastercrafts? Because should we be like looser with our definition of, say, 1, 2, and 3, or should we be more strict?
Honestly, at the end of the day, it's your show and your decision, and that is something you are going to have to contend with personally. Is my opinion.
Because we haven't been very what's the word? Staying consistent. We haven't been consistent in our definition of 1, and a number of things could have made it into 1, but didn't because of that inconsistency in defining the top 3 ranks.
Yeah,
because I mean, I could have easily made a number of arguments for Aliens being a 1 because it's such a fantastic film.
The thing is you could almost make an argument for all of those 2s being 1s, except I think maybe Vampire Hunter D. I don't think.
No, Vampire Hunter D is definitely not a 1.
And the Slayers couldn't be a 1 just because of the sheer number of production problems that it had.
Yeah.
But
that's the point of 2, though, is it comes just short of being that. But
I don't think Addams Family becomes short of anything. I think Addams Family hits every single note properly, and because of that, I think it lands at 1.
The point here is I don't think we're going to get an answer because this is a problem that Lolo needs to hash out.
Yeah.
That is we need to have at least a discussion about where some of these disciplines should lie, because I think this will become
re-rank the top tiers after you hash out what it is you want.
Yeah, I think once this kind of, I feel like we need a little bit more stabilization in these lists.
You need the rules to crystallize at this point.
Yeah, we've been doing this for a year so far, but still, I feel like there's been some like developmental differences that we've had throughout the thing. So once we really get this crystallized, and I feel like then we can truly kind of hash out these kind of finite things. Because this is also going to be an issue with, I feel the bottom end of this list also has some weird.
Like I could argue Parappa shouldn't be a 21; it should be a 20. But that's
that. Well, we're going to have that discussion because I have that on the list, but not quite now. I feel my from the hip kind of feeling of it. I don't want to be super strict with what gets a 1. I feel like it should be a little looser because really, like, yeah, I feel like I need to find some sort of thing, which was like you mentioned the Slayer. So if it's production issues, it's really good, but also it's kind of a technical mess.
The aliens
So-
issue was it's just fucking long.
God damn it.
Yeah. Stop
Yeah,
moving
it-
stuff.
So yeah, I would say at this point put a star next to Adam's Family and Commando as you ruminate on that a bit more.
Yeah. So
Like we just got to be. The thing is, we just got to be consistent in
Yeah,
what we define
that's
it.
my
as.
point is Lolo needs to put down
Yeah.
very specific rules so we can understand from here on
And we've
out.
we've done this a number of times already. We've done this on a number of episodes where I've asked you to redefine a particular tier because the way that it's worded or the titling of it was a little misleading, and then you've redefined it, but you never really came to something solid.
yeah,
at least
it's
in terms of one.
yeah, it's been. I mean, it's also very weird to kind of do some of this stuff as it is.
Yeah.
You're taking something that is incredibly subjective and trying to slightly objectify it, which is always fun.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think at this point this is a conversation we needed to have, even if there's no movement.
It is something that will actually help as we go forward. So I kind of feel like after having the discussion, we might as well actually have the list or the discussion about the other half of this list.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a trio of things that I feel like we kind of need to have a discussion on what to do with, and that is actually the bottom two kind of little tiers, or the kind of the sets of 3 tiers, which are essentially ranks. What is it? It's ranks 16 through 21. I think. Well, that's way too many. It's
You mean 19 through 21?
16 through 21.
Okay.
Which is so it's the orange and the red set. Because I have 3 listed here that I feel like I haven't listed, but I feel like in this discussion we need to do some arranging. I actually have a lot of it on this list, which are Legend of Zelda, Parappa the Rapper, and Sonic Sadam. Because I kind of had the feeling that if you think about especially video game movies, we are essentially, the way that we're kind of using this now, we are essentially using 2 of the 21 tiers to deal with quote unquote bad things, which I feel bad video game movies need a little bit more granularity. So I feel like some of these should be moved up. I don't think anything really needs to be moved down so much, with the exception of maybe Legend of Zelda. I do feel like we kind of need to have the red tier for stuff that is truly bad.
Yeah, so the thing I will say is Parappa needs to not be a 21. As much as we hated that, it is not that bad.
And that is that is what I would say.
Okay.
And we were discussing that too after I think the last episode is if the biggest sin of a property that we've watched is the fact that it's boring, then it doesn't compare in the same way as say Megami Tensei, which has absolutely terrible subject matter and should not be watched by anyone.
Megami Tensei was offensively
Not even the
bad.
subject matter. It's just bad. It's just unwatchable is the thing.
Yes.
And that's kind of the point here is 21 is something that just has no merit to it and should not be watched.
So off of Coolio's point, I kind of have the feeling that if the greatest sin that the piece of media has is that it's boring, I feel like it should go no longer than 18.
Yeah, so I was going to say,
fair.
I'd argue Parappa should be bumped up to an 18 at a minimum.
Yes.
It was boring and not great, but there was some production behind it, and they definitely tried.
Yes.
That's okay. Based on the arguments made, that's fair, and I don't have any objections based on those arguments.
The thing I would also say about that, or in the kind of same thing, I also feel Sadam should also get that. So it should be no lower than an 18.
I was going to say, based on that, Sadam should be 21.
Oh, come on now.
But yeah,
fun
no.
as it is to spite Coolio,
No, because I remember we were talking when we were doing Sonic Christmas Blast. we were putting it on almost the same level as Saddam, because Christmas Blast wasn't that much better than.
So yeah, I will say really quick, Saddam should be up to a 17, Zelda should be down to an 18. Doom should
Yes.
be a 19.
I would actually, I would argue that, because the thing is, there are problems with Zelda. I could actually argue with that being a 19.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fine.
and
I ain't gonna fight
Yeah,
that.
no.
just looking at the list, like it's been a while since I've watched a Legend of Zelda cartoon, but you look at how it ranked. It has thumbs down in everything except for music, and it has "Won't You Shut Up." And
Yeah, no, it's
and
one of those things, like, it seemed entertainingly bad, but you forget that it's actually just bad.
Well, the
Yeah.
other thing you
and-
gotta be careful with that, Coolio, because even like some of the best stuff that we've watched doesn't have a lot of charms. So you can't just go off of the charm.
that's true.
The thing
But
is, though, it's a universal thing, though.
This is true.
And just the fact that almost everyone in the Legend of Zelda is kind of gross.
Yeah, no, they're all kind of awful. No, I agree. No, that's
that's
perfectly
fine.
It's definitely a
That's
fun show to lampoon. In fact, I don't know how many of you are aware of the old YouTube channel Enitat Experiment.
Nope.
It's basically, think of Mystery Science Theater, but in the format of YouTube annotations.
Ah.
Oh.
Okay.
And that made The Legend of Zelda really fun to watch because everyone was making fun of it all the time. But if you're just watching it straight,
Yeah.
have fun with that.
Which, yeah, that's why I feel like it should go. It's a 19. Like, I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's like Panzer Dragoon. Panzer Dragoon is bad, but it's also not abysmal. Megami Tensei absolutely does not move.
There's
so fucking terrible.
nothing redeeming about it. There's nothing good, nothing that merits watching it.
Megami Tensei is the bedrock for 21.
There's no reason any human being should watch the Megami Tensei OVA.
Yeah, and that's why I think Panzer Dragoon is actually good at 20, just because it is
Yeah.
very not good, but it's also not completely unwatchable like Megami Tensei is. It's just not good.
We could
Yeah,
make fun of Panzer Dragoon. There's no way we could make fun of Megami Tensei.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's, yeah. Also, now that I've sorted this actually, this bottom half looks a lot better.
It looks
Because-
smoother.
Yeah, because it's like, this feels a lot better. Especially now that Lolith Penguin's now at 15. We're still missing a 13, but actually I'm wondering, are we still? I think 13 is the only thing that does not have representation now.
Well, and two of the specialty ranks, but
And
we
they
don't have anything to put in
I
there.
have
To be fair, those are a hard one to get into.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I'm thinking, like Prop the Rapper, I feel that's super boring, and also Princess Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach, I also feel is in that same tier.
Yeah.
Both the Sonic ones at 17 because they were really kind of boring.
I mean, it depends on who you ask. I didn't think it was boring. I've watched it recently. It wasn't extravagant or anything. But
well,
it
it missed. There wasn't enough kink in it.
All right, remember you said that, and now I've recorded it for posterity.
I mean,
God
that's
damn it.
essentially. I mean, that's essentially the thing we had. It didn't have the weird shit that
It wasn't as
Adventures-
entertainingly bad, I guess is the point here. It's just kind
Yeah.
of boring.
Yeah, it didn't have the weird shit
Which,
from.
to be fair, once again, gotta emphasize this: Sonic Adventures Sonic the Hedgehog is much lower anyway. So
Well, Adventure Sonic, that is its own.
it's in a
hellish
special
category.
tier. But my point stands, though.
Yeah,
if it wasn't there, it would probably be around 18 or 19.
I would say that it's probably, if it wasn't there, I would say probably 18. But not regardless. Actually cleans up the bottom half actually quite. I feel like this goes a lot smoother.
Did we lose one of the bots?
I mean, it's Craig.
Craig's having a
bitch.
Craig's having a fit again.
We still got Georg.
Craig's got the vapors.
Still need to look into self-hosting that if at
So-
all possible.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have. You know what? I have one name left on this list.
White
Let's
whale,
fuck-
holy grail. White
fucking
whale,
do
holy
it.
grail. White whale, holy grail.
Ranked in episode 16. It is actually the thing that the Audacity tags profile is defaulted to for Media Delta at 7. Tron.
It's way too fucking high. It's not a good movie. It's really boring.
So this is the other one that I re-listened to, and we came to this via averaging. So after everybody's ranks were added up and averaged out, it came to 7. The overall consensus was it was a pretty film, but it dragged on and it didn't have a lot of content to really carry it. Now, on my end, I argued that its production values made it deserve a higher ranking because I thought it was well made, and I thought that kind of overcame some of the stuff like the really floppy ending and some of the slower scenes. But that's just on my end. I don't remember what you ranked it at, Torpid, but I think you were at 11.
Yeah, because I feel like our general consensus was it's an okay movie. Like it's not bad, but it's also the effects, like they're neat. Like for 1982, that's great. But watching this now, it kind of doesn't hold up as much.
Yeah, it is a very visually impressive movie, but the plot is very abstract and weird.
I
Now
feel like it relies too heavily on its visuals, though. Like,
Yeah,
for my part,
go ahead.
This kind of what the movie was made for. It wasn't so. I feel anyway that it wasn't so much made for like trying to tell a story. It was Disney flexing effectively.
For my
You can do these cool visual things, and there you go.
For my part, I greatly affected the average because I ranked it a 2.
Yeah, you. I remember
was
that you nuked
favorable.
that average.
I was very favorable to it, and I am still very favorable to it. I still think it's a fantastic film, and I still think it holds up. Is it a 2? No, I definitely overranked it.
Yeah,
I was just awed by the production of it, and I openly admit that.
It was also episode 16, so it was a bit early on.
It was an incredibly early episode because, like, at that time, like you had stuff like we had done Hunt for October, we had done Mappy, we had done Bugs Bunny Roadrunner, done Pat Labor. Actually, I wonder, like that was like one of the first, like outside of like Die Hard, that was like one of the, also like Mortal Kombat, and like that was one of the first non-video game related live action movies outside of like Die Hard. I think that we did. So it was in this really weird realm.
It was at this point where you were trying to get more live action stuff because you felt like it was being weighted too heavily in favor of like anime and the such, which I can understand.
Yeah.
That said, I think this is a very boring movie. Jeff Bridges being an idiot is fun, but that can only carry so much of the movie, especially when they're trying to have like this entire story about Tron and his girlfriend both based off the fucking his creator and his girlfriend, and it was really dumb and garbage and stupid. And then Jeff Bridges kind of exists. He just does his own thing, and then he appears at the end and he's like, yeah, I helped too.
See, the thing is that I do feel like it is better. I feel like it's better than average. So I don't feel it's like going down to like 11. That being said, I do feel like 7 is a little high.
I would say 10 as the highest it goes.
Really? See, I'd be like 9.
Yeah, I was thinking 9 because like if you look at the other things that are in that category, you got Flash Gordon, you got Pirates of Dark Water, and now you have East 2.
It is on the level of Flash Gordon. I would agree with that.
I feel like 9 is a good spot for it.
That's fair.
It is that level of jank and schlock and like, yeah, we got visuals, but that's all we got. Especially
now that the stuff that we have in 8, to give it a little bit of a comparison point, above it are Digimon the movie, Sweet Home in the first season of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon, which I also feel like that would put Tron at a 9.
Yeah, like
That's
I
fair.
don't think it's a bad film. For the longest time I felt like it was rated too highly because it's just it rides very heavily on its effects, much like Flash Gordon rided very heavily on its set and costume design.
Yeah,
And Brian Blessed.
And Queen.
and Queen and Brian Blessed.
Yeah, and Brian Blessed, like this rided on Jeff Bridges. You're right.
Yeah, I mean,
also-
going back to it, I can see a lot of cracks in the plot, a lot of scenes that drag on a bit too much and sort of weigh the movie down. So I could see it going down to 9.
Yeah, and also like to like boost it up. Other things at 10, we got Nickelodeon Guts. We got Sonic the Hedgehog the movie, which that one
That's a weird one.
that is a weird one. Also Wizardry, which I feel like I'd rather watch Tron than those. So
Yeah.
I do feel like 9 is a perfect nesting spot for that.
I would
Alright.
rather watch Sonic the Hedgehog the movie, but that's a different discussion for a different time.
As
Well,
I
I
said,
mean, we
that-
still got time. We can
mean,
definitely discuss it.
This is
I mean-
exactly the discussion that we're having right now.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we were expecting this thing to go on for 2 hours, and we essentially cleared the list at an hour.
I was expecting 3 hours, to be honest. I thought we were going to be like heated in
To be
debate.
fair, okay, so really quick, to be fair, most of y'all didn't put much on the list. I think Lolo and I had the most on the
Yeah,
list.
I had 8. I mean, because I feel like a lot of this other stuff. I mean, Little Nemo, we had a
It
long
doesn't.
discussion.
Like there's some wiggle room for some of them, but like not enough to like worry about it or discuss it.
Yeah, because a lot of, I mean, for the most part, most of these are perfectly fine where they are. Like, I don't have any problems with like. I'm looking at the list. I don't have anything that like the only one that I feel sticks out to me is I feel like I kind of want to move Sonic the Hedgehog the movie up maybe like 1 or 2 spots.
Yeah, 1 or 2 spots would be fine by me. Like, I'm
Yeah,
not
1 or
asking
2
for a huge
spots.
shift, but
It was okay. Yeah.
hell, I would even put it on the level of Pirates of the Dark Water if you want to go that far.
I would still rather watch TMNT. Well, the first season anyway.
You know, in hindsight, rewatching it again, I'd actually I feel like TMNT was kind of fleshed out a little bit more. I would say I do feel like Sonic the Hedgehog the movie should be at 9.
That's fair.
That's fine.
That in agreement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still no 13 though.
Well, I mean, we can look.
Also, man, East is the sole 7 now.
No, it's not. It's
No, never mind. Excuse me, I can't read because you fucking goddamn it.
It's because it doesn't auto sort, and I can't do my quick sort. I have to do it like
It's
this.
fine. We've got a lot of 7s actually. We have many 7s. Look at all
Yeah.
these 7s.
Yeah, we have 5 7s. The thing, I mean, this did also. We now have 2 5s, and so instead of just Game Center sitting all alone.
It's
this
got a
did-
friend.
That the list in general is a bit top heavy. There's a lot more
It's,
over the
to be
bells,
fair-
over 11 bottom.
Yeah, to be fair, it's a lot of it's trying to avoid watching bad stuff because Lolo is a coward.
I mean, we don't have to worry about the next one.
yeah, the next one that I feel is going to put that bottom. It's gonna. I think we're in. I think Megami Tensei is going to get a friend.
I don't know if
I
it
mean,
deserves
either
a friend, but-
Panzer Dragoon or Megami Tensei is
right.
getting a friend.
So as
The
far
wizard.
as that
Yeah,
one is
bro.
concerned, but at the same time, I'm gonna be watching it in a much different context.
Yeah,
this time.
you watch it in rose-colored glass, it fits perfectly in the red category. Then,
Yes, exactly. I have
I mean,
fucking thoughts that will be expressed, but not now. Not
I
now.
mean,
I could say the same about rose-colored glasses for Sonic Saddam, but I rewatched
Yeah.
it recently and enjoyed it. So,
No, the wizard. I can assure you, your opinion
Yeah,
will change.
that is.
I have.
I was yeah. And it really, if we did want to get a 13, like the thing is, okay, looking at the things next to it, we got the 12s and the 14s. I'm just saying for like point of like actually just to kind of nip it in the bud. We just put Street Fighter there, so that's not moving. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990 at 12. Batman 1989 and Mega Man Opponent Store at 14.
Mega
Like
Man is-
these are fine where they are. It's just
Yeah.
the funny. It's just 13's unlucky, and its curse is not to have anything in there ever.
was say, what kind of even stuff is in retro?
It's like it's like Japanese buildings skipping the 4th floor. It's how it works.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like looking at like 13 and Retro Rhapsody. That's the stuff that Vampire Hunter D the game, Skullsjagger, Phantasmagoria, Puzzle of Flesh,
Oh shit.
Oh, you wolf wish.
Devil
Wrong
World,
band.
DS Legend of Zelda,
Wrong
Brutal
band.
Pulse. That is a very specific category of game. So yeah, I feel like I am looking at this list, and outside of the top, I feel like there really isn't anything that I have any major contention with.
I still think Doom is a 20. I think it's a terrible fucking film, and the only redeemable thing is that final first-person section. But other than that, it's long, it's boring, it doesn't do anything good with the property. The acting is terrible, the writing is terrible, the special effects are terrible, except for that one section.
I'd argue the struggle with the writing is giving you handed a bad script to begin with, but yeah.
I mean,
Like-
that is still part of the movie.
Yeah.
I still say Doom is 20.
I would also be fine with that.
I've never seen
Because-
it, so I have.
Because
It's
I think
a miserable
I
slog
think we
of a
moved
film.
it up because we moved up a few other things, but now that we have Legend of Zelda at 19, I feel like we could move it back down again.
Yeah.
All right. It was fun while it lasted, Doom.
Back to the pits with you, you piece of shit.
Be
Yep.
gone, you and your evil gene.
Back to the pits on the edge of the abyss.
Any movie that is about eugenics belongs in fucking 20. I'm sorry.
Look, I'm just saying, as we all know, it's hard coded in your DNA if you're good or evil.
Exactly.
That's
God.
Yeah. And then also, just because we haven't mentioned it, Adventure Sonic the Hedgehog and Pac-Man, I still feel are 666.
Yes, Pac-Man is
Yeah,
especially
I'm not gonna
666.
dispute this.
We saw them push the animation cell across the frame.
I can't find the one for Fist of the North Star, but that's still my favorite.
I gotta. God, that one is so good.
It's such a great...
That's another thing we gotta talk about is Fist of the North Star, and I have no idea how we're gonna do that.
Fist of the North Star at least is more enjoyable.
Oh yeah,
Then-
it is. But also that the animation you could buy a sandwich with, like that budget was like $15. But yeah, I think we're good. I think we got our kind of a cleaner list.
It's looking a lot better.
Yeah.
Just looking back through it to see if there's anything that really sticks out. I mean, if I were to say anything, I still think Mortal Kombat should go a little lower. I don't think it's that good of a film, and I think it's only held up by the kitschiness of it, and I don't think that's enough to really hold it in a higher regard. I would personally put it at like a 9 as well.
I don't know if I'd put it that low, but I could see it like maybe knocking it like 1 or 2 because I
Yeah,
feel
so part of the reason we put it up so high is because it actually like cared about the property to some extent and implemented some of the stuff from it, even if it was super janky and kind of an incredibly cursed production. But I can agree with 6 being a bit too high.
Yeah.
Also, it was
again,
episode 7.
because I'm looking at like the 7 and 8s. I feel like 7 might be a good spot for it because I feel like putting it like right next to the Running Man is
Yeah,
also
that-
could be good.
That's fair.
Yeah. That's oh god, I realize we're gonna have to do the Resident Evil movies again at some point.
Oh, Resident Evil 1 is serviceable, if not.
One is okay. One is okay. The others are complete dog shit.
Yeah, it's a fucking rapid decline after 1.
Hate it.
And the first one still sucks.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah, the first one. I don't like. It is like, especially in comparison, it's not. It's. I would say, if I were to take it off the hilt ranking, I would say maybe 18 for Resident Evil 1. All the other ones, you got good contenders for 20 or 21. But yeah, so Mortal Kombat pushed that down a little bit.
Yeah, I can't really say there's anything else that needs to be moved.
Yeah, I feel like this is a pretty good list. I should do the thing where I have with the Retro and Grapsy where you can see the metrics of it. I do feel like it is a bit top heavy, and yeah, because don't worry, if we do like more, It is something that I admit is because of it's the selection of movies I do. Because guess what? I don't want to watch something bad when I can watch something good.
Why y'all motherfuckers voting for Charlie Brown? Gotta be real here.
I like that movie.
Good
Look,
for you.
if it takes Charlie Brown for us doing Charlie Brown to us to get to do the JoJo's OVA, that is a fine sacrifice.
I really don't want to watch Charlie Brown, but here we are.
Well, it looks like as of January 2nd, it looks like that's where it's gonna go.
And look, Torpin, just because you're not obligated to do every episode, technically.
No, I am. I'm contractually bound.
I think you got you got sunk cost fallacy at this point.
It's too late. I'm already handcuffed to the radiator.
Yep. All right. Well, I mean, if two more. Okay, no, that's going to be 3 more people. Actually, technically 4 more people vote for either Ghost Shellist or Pat Labor the movie, then maybe. But also, who knows what that series is going to be, because that's a 3-way tie right now. But nonetheless, I feel like we are good for re-ranking this. So we have cleaned it up, and it took far shorter than we thought. So
Not as
yay for that.
contentious either.
Yeah. But it turns out
we've had a lot of time to cool off at this point.
yeah. I mean, I was gonna say, I think the Tron thing just became more of a meme than actual like beef. So
White whale, holy grail.
yeah, and now the white whale's dead. Well, two ranks lower.
And here I am, also dead.
It's been sated.
And mine is dead too.
Now we just got to deal with how to deal with the top. But that'll be something to think about maybe next year.
I'm still a bit disappointed that Sonic Saddam is that low, but I'm not gonna push any farther up because
Also,
I really liked it, but
also on a technical level or a technicality, that is season 1 of Sonic Saddam. There is still season 2 that we need to do.
Yeah, and season 2 is a lot more consistent.
It is. So maybe that will get higher, but who knows?
One day.
Here's hoping.
Yep. Also thinking of Sonic, that may just all the Mario shit that'll buffer the bottom of this list.
Hey, paisanos!
Yeah, we still have to do the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Yeah, I still need to hit my hands with fucking hammers. Yeah, you're right.
Have you watched that in the last, say, I don't know, 5 years?
No.
I watched the a redo of the ending where every time he changes position, the music gets farther away. Or no, the music is farther away depending on where Lou Albano is in relation to the camera.
They pitch shifted to where he is. It's bad. Like it's
remember that time that Elvira was on the show? Yeah, I do.
I don't, but I can believe it.
It's great because you have Elvira, you have Cyndi Lauper, you have Roddy Piper, then a whole bunch of people who are really big in 80s and 70s sitcoms that you have no idea who they are.
And then we got the Mario Brothers movie.
Roddy Piper is very fitting given who is on that fucking show already.
Yes.
Don't forget, we also got the Mario Brothers movie to do.
Yeah, we do.
That's going to be miserable.
It's an isekai.
Personally, I kind of like that movie, but I'm also not going to fight the fact that
I have also not watched that movie in a long time, so Lord knows what I feel like.
Last time I watched it was when I was quite young, so I have no clue how I feel about it.
I've never seen it, so
great.
All I can say is trust the fungus.
Anyway, I feel like we should probably just end it here so that we don't just go down a rabbit hole. All right, so before we head out, Axe, is there anything you want to plug?
Nope.
Carnival, anything you want to plug?
Your local bail fund or charity?
All right. Koyo.
Yes, so first there's the Let's Play group that I'm a part of, Low Bias Gaming at lowbiasgaming.net, as well as my radio show / podcast, Square Wave Symphony, your home for video games, chiptunes, and all things weird and geeky, which can be found at lowbiasgaming.net /SquareSim, SYM, and also SquareSim on Twitter.
All right. Turbo.
Twitch.tv/torpotypist and at torpotypist on Twitter. And I would like to plug the whole left by finally being free of my white whale.
Yes. Finally, maybe someday we will plug in that hole at 13.
I crave hatred.
Well, good, because next week we're talking about the Wizard.
I'm gonna be so fucking angry.
It's just
I
going to be
think-
pure fucking hatred the whole time.
That is not a good movie. We are starting out much like we did Retro Rank Rhapsody with a bang for this year. Well, technically we're starting out with here, but first actual thing, yeah.
Yeah, Lilo hates us and is holding us at gunpoint.
Isn't that what get voted though?
No, it was a milestone. It was a
Yeah.
fucking milestone because all y'all suck. You suck.
You did the thing where you followed me on Twitch, so therefore we all watched The Wizard.
To be fair, I followed you before this was a thing. You cannot say that.
Same.
Yes, same. So fuck you. You don't get to put this on me.
Well,
I am not to blame for the sins of your viewers.
well, so some of the things that I have on charity, I'm sure you'll appreciate. So we'll see how that goes. So
fucking angry already thinking about it.
great. Well, also I had to go and buy Blu-ray of it because I forgot that's what we're doing of it. So
And here I am, still chained to this radiator.
yeah.
Please free me.
So all right, that's gonna do it for this week. So thank you all for watching.
There.
Listening, actually, unless you're watching this on YouTube, which while you're watching it, it's a still picture.
I can't get my large hand through the cuff. Please save me.
Just walks in, puts one right between. Out of
Just
your
gives you
misery.
Just gives you a high five. All right, let's see. We need to
Cap it off quickly.
just let it go. Just let it die. Linger on the fact that we're going to be
Admit-
doing a terrible ass movie.
Bye.
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 If you would like to look at the full list of rankings for yourself, please visit r3.ldp.life and go to the Media Delta List tab. If you would like to watch Media Delta's sister show, Retro Rank Rhapsody, you can either watch at youtube.ldp.life or by tuning into twitch.tv/LoadToPuzzlo at 7:30 p.m. on Fridays, 2:30 p.m. on Saturdays, and 1 p.m. on Sundays. All those times are from the Eastern US time zone. If you would like to discuss this episode with the community, you can do so by joining our Discord server, which you can do so by going to discord.ldp.life. Thank you again for listening, and I hope you tune in for our next episode.